Hi, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be talking about lupus and how it has impacted my life over the last 11 years. So back in 2009 when this all started, I was staying at my grand's while me and my family were moving house. And I woke up one day with these joint pains. Now as a man, I thought nothing of it. I thought it was just pains from football or I slept bad. Obviously I didn't anticipate it would be anything serious. So I just kind of carried on. But after a couple of weeks, the pain was getting worse. So my girlfriend at the time had to take me to the doctors. And the doctors told me, after explaining my symptoms to the doctor, they said to me, they'll give me a course of antibiotics and hopefully once these antibiotics are finished, the pain will be gone. So I took the course of antibiotics but the pain was still there. So I had to call back the doctors and they said to me they're going to refer me to Ealing Hospital where I have to do a urine sample and have a blood test when I arrived. So when I got there, the doctor heard my symptoms and he said to me he was 95% sure that I had lupus. Now at the time, I had no idea what lupus was. So I went home and done my research and I realized that lupus is an autoimmune disease that can cause inflammation to the joints, skin and other organs. So obviously I'm getting a bit worried now thinking, oh, hopefully I haven't got this. My family were trying to reassure me that I don't know anything yet, so don't worry, try and carry on with your life. And obviously when you get the results back, we'll take it from there. So that's exactly what I've done. I was still going to sixth form, I was in the second year of sixth form. I was still playing football. Even though I had the bad joint pains, I was getting through football and I was still seeing friends and family. So after a couple of weeks, the results come back. The doctor calls and I have to go to the hospital and he tells me that I have lupus. So obviously I'm very upset. I'm not worried about what's going to happen to me. He says to me that they're going to put me on medication and I'm going to be under Hammersmith Hospital's watch, so I'm going to be going there regularly. So he said everything should be okay with the medication you're taking and obviously the hospital are going to keep a good, a close eye on you. So I thought, okay, it's not going to be too bad then. So I started going to my appointments. But as time went on, the kidney started to get worse. Because your kidney function should be between 60 and 110. That's what the normal person's function is. Mine was in the 700 and 800, so that's very high, and that's not where it should be. One good thing though, that I had these two infusions called cyclophosphamide and rituximab, and these two helped my joint pains. And after that, I've never had joint pains again. So that was a good thing because the joint pains were excruciating. So I was very happy about that. I was able to like get around and do stuff now. I've become more active like I used to be once the joint pains were better. So I get to the third year of sixth form. I'm applying to go to university. And then I decide I'm going to go to Chichester University, where I started going. But unfortunately, I was not able to finish my year at Chichester because of what was going on with me. I could only do like 9 months of my course. And I'd eventually had to come back to London because the back and forth travel was very tiring for me. And there was no hospitals close by. My hospital was all the way in London, so it made sense to me to just leave uni and come back home so I could be closer to my family and closer to the hospital in case I ever needed to go there. Once I did get back down to London and had my appointments, my kidney function was not getting any better. So they said to me that I would need a kidney transplant in the not too distant future. Now, this is very scary because obviously I've never had no major operations in my whole life. The thought of being cut open was a killer. And for those who don't know what a kidney transplant entails, it entails you having like a one light camera pass through your intestines where they'll cut a small incision to remove your kidney. That's how a kidney transplant is done. So obviously my mum was the first person to be tested to see if she would be a match to give me a kidney. She wasn't, unfortunately. My gran also was tested and she wasn't either. So my granddad was the next person to be tested, and thankfully he was a match for me. But before we could go ahead with anything, he would have to go through a whole lot of tests to make sure that he was fit enough to do it. So we had to have a chest X-ray, a full physical exam, and do a urine sample just to ensure that he had no underlying problems himself and that he was able to give this kidney to me. And also, me, him, my mum and granddad had to go to hospital on a separate occasion, and we had to show evidence that he was my granddad, because sometimes people will pay people to give them a transplant or be putting pressure on them. So I had to bring a picture of me and my granddad when we were young so they know that he's actually my granddad, which is very silly, but obviously we had to do it if we wanted to go ahead. And obviously once they were satisfied that he was my granddad, we were able to obviously get a date for the operation. So the date would be the 30th of January 2012. Obviously now I'm very scared because I'm thinking to myself so many things. Is it going to work? Is it going to help me lead a normal life in the future? Like, so many things are going through my head at the time. Now, on the night before my transplant, I had to stay in the hospital for the night so they could obviously get me prepped for the next day. My granddad, he came in the morning of the operation and he went down to the theatre room where he would have his kidney taken out first. So obviously I was sitting in the ward waiting. Obviously first I'm thinking, hope my granddad's going to be all right. And then secondly, I'm thinking, hoping that he would be able to go through with it still, because they could have found a complication and then they could have said that they're not going through with it. So obviously I was waiting anxiously. And then after a couple hours, they came and said to me, your granddad's all fine. He's in the recovery room waiting. And it was a success. So I was happy. And he said, you come with me now and I'll have to go down to the operating, to the theatre room to have the kidney put in me. Obviously I go down there. The surgeon asks me, am I okay? He puts the blood pressure cuff around my arm. And then he puts the thing on my finger to check my pulse. And he puts the ECG cords on my chest. And then they give me the general anesthetic, and before you know it, I'm knocked out. And then when I next wake up, I'm in the recovery room. So I'm waking up, I'm all dazed. What's happened? Obviously, once I get my bearings, I realise, I've had the operation. And I was just happy. First and foremost, I was happy that I was alive, that I come round from the operation. That was a big relief. I had to wait in the recovery room for about 45 minutes to an hour so the nurses could check my obs and obviously make sure everything was all right with me before I was able to go to the main ward. Once I got to the main ward, my mum and gran were waiting for me. They were very nervous and worried because my granddad's come down and they're just hoping that everything was going to be all right with me. So when they saw me, you could see the joy and the happiness in their face. So that was a relief for them. And then my granddad was in the bed next to me. So I was in hospital for about a week because obviously before you can actually go, they need to make sure that you're eating well, that the kidney is functioning properly. So once everything was okay and they were happy with me, I was able to go home. And my mum looked after me because obviously I couldn't do anything for myself. I was bedbound for the first couple of weeks, so my mum had to wash me, help me get to the toilet, prepare my meals for me for the first few weeks while I was bedbound. But obviously and the only place I was going was to the hospital because I had to go to the hospital twice a week so they could check my kidney function, make sure the function was good and make sure everything was ticking along nicely. Obviously after a few weeks, when I was feeling a bit stronger, I was able to kind of do my own kind of thing, not anything strenuous. I couldn't go back to work yet, couldn't do any heavy lifting, but I was able to obviously get out of bed, walk around, go to my gran's, get some fresh air, things like that. So once I fully recovered, I went back to work, which is a great relief because I missed work a lot during them 3 months that I had to recover. But I was still going to my appointments, and obviously after a period of time, they told me the kidney was not working the way they hoped it would. So they said to me that I would need a second transplant, which was obviously heartbreaking for me and my granddad, because obviously he had done this amazing thing, give me a kidney, but it didn't work. So he was very gutted about that. But they said to me also that because my kidney function was getting so low, before I could have another transplant, I need to go on dialysis. So for those who don't know what dialysis is, it's a procedure that drains excess fluid from the blood when the kidney is not working properly. So I had to have a fistula put in. So if you can see my arm, that's a fistula. I had to have that put in my arm. And that's where the needle goes in, and then the needle goes into the machine, and effectively my blood was being cleaned through the dialysis machine. That's what dialysis is essentially, cleaning the blood and replacing it with new blood. So in January 2013, I started dialysis. And during my time on dialysis, my dad, he wanted to be a donor. So he went and had all the tests done, and thankfully he was also a match for me. So obviously we were gearing up for me to have my second transplant. I was on dialysis for about 10 months. And obviously my dad had all the tests and checks. He was, everything was good with him. We had to do the same thing we done with my granddad, all the full body test. He had to do a urine sample. He had to have a chest x-ray. And then we had to come, me, him, my mum had to come. And we had to show a picture of me and him from when I was young, just to make sure for them to be certain that he is my dad. Done all that, and then obviously once everything was confirmed, the date, it was November 2013 is when I had my second transplant. And just like the first one, I had to stay the night in before, because I had to have dialysis one more time before I had my transplant. And my dad came in the morning of the transplant, went down, they took his kidney out first, came and got me. I went down, they put me to sleep, had the transplant, woke up in the recovery room. When everything was good, went to the main ward. The only difference between my first and second one is that my second one, I was only in hospital for about 3 or 4 days, because my body was used to it from having the first one done. My body reacted better, and I started eating quicker, I started walking quicker. So once all that was done, I was able to go home. My mum looked after me again, done everything for the first couple of weeks while I recuperated in bed. And thankfully, since 2013, my kidneys have been fine. That's been over 7 years now that I've had my transplant, and everything's been fine. So I've got to thank God for that. Thank you for tuning into my video once again. If you have any questions or want to ask me anything, write in the comments, and I will discuss and answer any questions in my next video. And also, I've got a GoFundMe page donating money to the NHS and to Great Ormond Street Hospital. So if you would like to donate, I'm also going to put the link in the description so you can donate. Thanks again for tuning in. I'll be back next week with more. Thank you.